All right, everybody, we have been working on the Rustang without the camera on because there's a lot of grinding and noise. So we have self-etching weld-through primer here, weld-through primer here. We took and ground down the original skirts. So we have the skirts here all drilled for plug welding hole, plug welding hole. Down here, plug welding holes. Now the frame rails are going to be plug welded through the floor pans into here on the inside of the car. So all those holes are drilled. There is the new front end that we got from the junkyard like 15 years ago. Yeah, maybe 10, I don't remember. It's in really good shape. I did have to put a patch here, and we had to patch the spring towers here, and this one got it here. There's a video in the playlist of all this work that I did. I started stripping this with stripper, but I put the stripper on and then had to go mow the grass. When I came back, the stripper had dried, so we're gonna worry about that later. I need to get the car done. So here's the front end. Me and G Jr., we're gonna be putting it into place and getting it lined up so we can get ready to plug weld everything back together finally. Alrighty, we're gonna get the front end set back up in here. So, I got you a screw there, back in there. I got my screw here, we got the gun there. So, you put it in, remember, we gotta fight it. We gotta tuck it in, it's gotta go underneath the cross member. Did it. Here, just go ahead and actually lay down. Just lay down. Get the jack standing away. No, we don't. You can put the thing back on your finger. No, I get it. I got my gin ready for the front. Okay, remember, so we got to pick it up kind of and then down. Ready? Yeah. Up. Go my way. Some up high. Hold on. Make sure it's going the right way. Grab that. Up a little bit. Push it down. Got the sand off the other side. That's get over here. I need to push the front end back some. Forward, back, push it back. Okay. Okay, yeah, see we're tight against there. We're almost tight against there, that's good. Come back over here and repeat. This side. I don't know what we're going to do on this over. We're going to put the camera. All right, let's get the camera. All right, so as you see what we did here, we have self-tapping screws. We use this as our lineup point. So we put it up here and we put a self-tapping screw here the first time. and we're using this hole again. So as you can see, we're nice and tight here. That needs to be banged, but we're nice and tight all the way down here. We're a little bit off here, but these cars weren't perfect. That looks really good. Actually, we might have to drill. I was just gonna take and lay a bead here, but I think maybe I'll go ahead and drill a couple holes there. And in here, we look real good. Now this side over here, we're off a little bit. I still have to do my measurements to be sure we're back in the same place, but we're good here. Got a little hole we got to fill in with some weld, no problem. We'll just bend this one back. But see here, we're kind of far back, but we really can't go any farther back because of this. So I guess we'll just beat the floor pan back to take up that spot there, because I think here, I think we are basically, we're like a 16th off, too short. So if I go back any farther, I'm going to be off even more. So let's check this side. Grab that. This side's like perfect. So here, let's do the cross measurement. Yeah. We're supposed to be 63 and a half. We're 63 and a half, and come to this point. There. Supposed to be 63 and 5/8, and we're like a 16th off here. So actually, if anything, here where we're supposed to be. The only problem, like I said, the only big issue is that little gappage there. But you know, we could beat on the floor pan to get that in. I guess I can use the spot weld driller to drill that out, so I don't have to take the front end back off. Should we just do that? Or should we pop the front end back off?
Yeah, just pop it.
Well, no, because the problem is, see, I need plug weld this here, and this is like perfect. We could drill a couple holes here and get that one perfect. Oh, let's take a peek inside. Let's take a peek inside. Yeah, I look like I'm off a little bit on the holes there. Oh man, I'm off big time on that side. Well, we'll worry about that when we get over there. Maybe it will line up. Maybe I have to crawl underneath and check. I thought I had the mark. This one turned out really good, and then those holes turned out really good, and the inside holes are good. The outside holes are off. Well, I plan on welding them to the floor underneath anyway. All right, so there's the new front end up. Our little thing here, it's sitting on it's basically sitting on this. It's a little loose. I'll get Brian G Jr. to sit on this while I weld it up. Here, push down on that. Alrighty, so our measurements are good, you know, 16th off. I think it's pretty good. And I'm really disappointed about these holes drilled on this side. Oh, but now they look okay. Oh, it was the angle, the dangle that I was at. I think they look okay now. I think they look okay now. Oh, it's a little bit low. I've got to put my bolt in, and we need to tighten this up to the floor. So that we'll do that next. And then we'll start welding this thing up. Alrighty, well, what we did also too is the frame pieces that go underneath the floor pan were sitting down about that much. So I went ahead and put my nuts and bolts in it, right? The bolt here that I put in and tightened it down to make the floor touch the rail that runs back, and we did the same thing on this side. So we drilled all the holes good on that side, and then this side over here is like lining up like perfectly. All this is lined up except for right there, which we'll just beat. That's touching the floor pan. Now this side over here is still a little bit away from it, and I think that's my fault because I replaced this kick-up panel and it's not where it's supposed to be. If it was where it was supposed to be, it would just be a little tiny bit off. So I think I can just go inside and I'll just beat the floor down so it touches, and we'll go ahead and plug weld this up. So right now I think we're good. Oh, we did our measurements, and after we put the bolts inside and pulled the whole frame assembly up, the measurements from here came in perfectly, and the cross measurement is only off like an eighth. And I don't think that's going to be an issue because it's straight. It looks straight. I lined these up with the original ones underneath the dirt marks, so that's exactly what this panel is supposed to be. Our little jig we have, it's sitting on top of the jig. It's nice and sturdy. Now all I have to do is get the welder out and start welding her up. Yeah, everything looks great. Oh man, this is falling into place. Falling into place. What we might end up doing is I might not weld that part on the other side until we get it inside. So we'll make this thing a roller. We'll get it in and worry about that side. But I'll go ahead and start plug welding all this stuff up and the inside to make it strong so we can start putting all the front suspension back on. No, but I can't believe, here, back up. I can't believe how good it looks. Looks like it's supposed to. A Mustang. Well, kind of like a Mustang. All right, before we start welding on anything, we drop the export brace in here, and the export brace is like fitting perfectly. So G Junior and E-Boy painted up and sandblasted this. He took like 3.5 hours to sandblast this. He didn't have to do that for us, but anyway, hats off to E-Boy for sandblasting our old export brace. And he painted it, and then G Junior finished painting it. G Junior painted up all this other stuff. So we got brand new hardware for the upper shock mounts, and we're just going to go ahead and get all these installed before we start welding everything up, just because this will help also keep the car in alignment. So real simple. You get these what are these nuts called again? Remember? I can't remember.
It's got the square thing.
Yeah, it's got the square carriage bolt.
Carriage bolt.
These are like original style carriage bolts that I bought from the Mustang place. They fit up through here and they lock in, and then you just put the nut on top of it. So this side is already done. Now we just got to do the driver's side. We're missing 2 bolts. We're missing 2 bolts for here.
But one of them was broken.
One of them was broken. Yeah,
one of them
I know.
stripped, and then I threw it away because
yeah,
it was being difficult. So
like I said, they go in and they lock in. And here's another thing too. This export brace was originally on this car, so this is also telling me that we have the car pretty much back in alignment, or pretty close. Like I said, we did the measurements. The measurements front to back are perfect. Side cross measurements are off like an eighth. I cannot complain about that. I can't shift it over an eighth because of the way everything's hitting. If I had to, I guess I could cut, but I don't think that eighth of an inch is really going to make a difference. So there is, we're gonna need a 1/2 inch wrench to tighten these up. Once you get a 1/2 inch wrench to tighten these up, actually deep socket and just a ratchet. We don't want to use an air tool, please. So there's another thing that this is lining up like perfectly. The holes are off. The holes were off a little bit before, but these bolts are in. Those bolts are in. So we're going to get this tightened down so we know that we're pretty much in line. Actually, what I think I'm going to do, hold on, before you tighten anything, they're 13s, right, or 1/2 inch. I'm going to get the bar and put it in there and pull that over just a little bit. You know, those bars, have you ever tried to put one of those bars in? Oh my gosh, they are like impossible. My other Mustang, I had to jack the car up and let the front end sag for like a day before it would go in. All right, go ahead and tighten them up.
they're tight, but I didn't like crank on them.
Yeah, just get them, just get them snug.
I don't really feel that good.
Did you get all 3 of those?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and get these 3. So as you can see, they just fit up in those little square grooves there. That's what keeps them from turning. But when you go to take them apart, they always turn. Keep going, it's going in, it's going in. All right, it's almost there. All right, Cody, the other one. All right, get a 9/16 and a 9/16 wrench, and we'll tighten up those two. I put some new nuts underneath on those that I bought. They're serrated or whatever. 9/16, you're gonna need a 9/16 wrench also, or a 14. So we also cut, this car here had the original brackets here for the brace, just a regular brace. So we cut those off. He was worried about paint underneath there. I'm like, yeah, we don't have to worry about that. We'll get it painted underneath here once we get everything put back together. And in here, we're probably just gonna end up undercoating all this stuff to protect it. Got a 9/16. I get the 9/16 line wrench is the best for this. Now these bolts are kind of compromised at the very end because they've been rubbing because they weren't tight. So just snug them up tight. This lined up like perfectly before we tightened up the floor to the rails, but now it's off just maybe a hair. But look at that, it's beautiful. All right, we got to find 2 more nuts and bolts for that. But now the export brace is in. Another thing saying that the front end is basically where it's supposed to be. This thing's still up a little bit. It's still up a little bit on that side. That's all right. I'll take a measurement. I know it's supposed to be 19 and 18 and a half, but I bet you they're both 19 now. All right, we're getting just boogieing along with this thing. Now if we only had a motor and a trans. All right, I know I haven't started welding stuff up, but here are the motor mount, the frame brackets on the motor mounts. Go ahead. We have brand new bolts that I got from the internet. They have serrated nuts on the back and the right. They're grade 8 bolts. Go ahead. All right, bottom. Okay, last one. Go ahead. All right. It's awfully hot today. I don't feel like putting all my welding garb on to take and weld it up. It's just too hot. So we're doing some other stuff. We're getting the export brace on. We're getting those. We're gonna bolt up the steering box next with the 3 bolts. We had to replace one of the bolts, but we're gonna put a bunch of anti-seize, and we need washers. We need to find some washers for those bolts because they had, I do believe they had lock washers on them, and that lock washer is broken. This one's missing. And then this one didn't have anything. This is our new bolt. So let's take a look at the frame. It actually looks like it had pretty big washers. So we'll find some big washers and some lock washers and get the steering box put back on also. So G Junior is pretending to be a motor now. So he's gonna help position the steering box so I can get the bolts in. So you wanna take and, I don't know, lift up or down on the box. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, we're lined up. Can you push the box against the frame? Okay, now let off. All right, I'm not sure if that's gonna be right. They feel like they're starting, but I don't know if they are. No, they're like 5/8. Where's 5/8? And you have the ratchet up there still. You know, I think this bolt that we got at the hardware store might be too long. And not have enough threads. I think it bottomed out. Yep, it did. I'll have to put a few washers on it for now. We'll worry about getting another bolt later. But there, basically the steering box is bolted up. We'll put a couple washers behind this.